News out of the NFL, where the Texans have agreed to a one-year $35.6 million extension with edge rusher Danielle Hunter. That's according to the NFL Network. That deal will make him the second highest paid defensive end in the NFL, behind only Myles Garrett. The five-time Pro Bowler racked up 12 sacks and 46 tackles in Houston this past season. Among active players, Hunter's 99.5 career sacks ranks 9th in the NFL. $6 million extension with their edge rusher Danielle Hunter. That's according to the NFL Network. That deal will make him the third highest paid defensive end in the NFL, behind only Myles Garrett and Max Crosby. The five-time Pro Bowler racked up 12 sacks and 46 tackles in Houston this past season. Among active players, Hunter's 99.5 career sacks ranks 9th in the NFL. For more, we welcome in CBS Sports NFL analyst and 10-year vet, Jayden. Jay, the Texans acquired Hunter last off-season, and apparently they like what you saw. What are your initial thoughts on this extension?
Yeah, Crystal, just smart business by the Houston Texans. This is a guy that signed a 2-year deal. You alluded to that. I would believe it was 2 years, $49 million, 48 of it guaranteed. But we've seen a robust market for edge players, and you alluded to it also. He had 12 sacks. When you look at what he's done over the last 6 years, 5 out of the last 6 years, he has had double-digit sacks. So I thought this was a smart job by the Houston Texans to lock in one of their bookends, to pair him with Will Anderson now for the next 2 years. You don't have to worry about going through a contract negotiation with Danielle Hunter after this season. He went out there, balled out, had 12 sacks. You reward players. And also, he's from the area, so I guarantee he wanted to get this business done. Something else that's pretty smart on their behalf. Hunter will turn 31 this upcoming season. He's under contract through 2026. How smart was this on Houston's behalf not to give a player in his 30s too many years, even though, as you said, he's been very productive? Yeah, the old saying goes, once you hit around 30, the production doesn't equate to what you're going to get paid. So a lot of teams, there's always a rule of thumb. I've heard front office guys, GMs always say, I'd rather let a guy leave 1 year too early than pay him 1 year too late. So, again, I thought this was a good job by both sides, right? Danielle Hunter not trying to get a 4 or 5 year extension, going to turn 31 this season, getting a 1 year extension, so he's tied to the Texans for the next 2 years. But also a good job by the Houston Texans, giving him a 1 year extension, again, pairing him with Will Anderson and not being, locked into too many years down the road. So this is good business by both sides, not only Danielle Hunter, but the Houston Texans as well. Now that Hunter is locked down, what needs do the Texans need to hunt on the defensive side of the ball to see perhaps maybe a deeper playoff run? Yeah, you would maybe look at the defensive tackle group maybe in the draft. I love what they did with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, trading for him, locks up one of their safety positions opposite of Colin Bullock, and also they have, Petrie at the slot position. So they have a really good secondary. They might have the best secondary in all of football. They just paid Derek Stingley Jr. the most money at the cornerback position. Kamari Lassiter is an up-and-coming young player they took last year in the second round. He played at a high level, almost a Pro Bowl level. So literally, when you look at their quote-unquote deficiencies, there's not many on the defensive side. Krista, I would say the offensive side is where the issue is. C.J. Stroud was under heavy duress last year from the quarterback position. They traded away potentially their best offensive lineman in Laramie Tunsil. So there's going to be a reworked offensive line, and they got to figure out how to protect C.J. Stroud, or he's going to struggle this year as well. If you didn't say it, I was going to say it. I know that O-line is important. You need to see him healthy so he can have a good playoff run. Once again, the Texans have agreed to a 1 year, $35.6 million extension with edge rusher Danielle Hunter. Jay, thank you so much for your time. Here you see it, Danielle Hunter now trailing only Myles Garrett and Max Crosby among the highest paid defensive ends in the league. He has been extremely productive, starting 17 games in each of the last 3 seasons. Hunter has double-digit sacks in 6 of his 9 career seasons.
quarterback for next season. It will not be that guy, Aaron Rodgers. According to our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, Minnesota deciding to stick with J.J. McCarthy for the upcoming season. That means Aaron Rodgers still looking for a new home unless he decides to retire. Speaking of bad knees, Chris, J.J. McCarthy missed last year's season. Do you remember why? Do you remember what he tore?
Not as much as you did.
His meniscus. One of the 4 things that I tore in my knee. Plenty of other news in the NFL today, including potential rule changes to the league. Things like eliminating the tush push. A lot of people feel very strongly about that. And what about aligning postseason and regular season rules? Think about all the overtime rules that have been very particular over the past couple of seasons here. So let's welcome in our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones here. JJ, some of those rules that we saw, what could actually stick, or potentially all 3?
Well, I'll tell you the one that will very, very likely stick. It's changing the regular season overtime rules to more closely align with the postseason overtime rules. Of course, in the postseason, they don't end in ties. The regular season, you can still end in a tie, but I do believe that this change is going to take place. You remember a couple of years ago, they changed the overtime. First, it was sudden death, and that seemed to work pretty well. The team that won the coin toss wound up winning in sudden death about 53.5% of the time. Then they moved to not sudden death anymore, but you had a 15-minute overtime. Well, at that point, it brought it more closely to 50-50 with the coin toss. It was around 51.2% of the time. The team that won the coin toss wound up winning the game in overtime in 15 minutes. For some reason, in 2017, right before that season, they took the overtime from 15 minutes down to 10 minutes. That was a ridiculous thing to do then. They did it, and what did you happen to see? That more and more teams that won the coin toss wound up winning in overtime. And this past season, it was ridiculous. 75% of the time, the team that won the coin toss won in overtime in the regular season. So what they are very likely to do at this league meeting that happens next month, or excuse me, at the end of this month in Florida, they are going to take the overtime from 10 minutes to 15 minutes. And then they're going to give both teams the opportunity to possess the ball no matter what the team who first possessed the ball did. Touchdown, field goal, touchdown, 2-point, doesn't matter. You will get an opportunity to possess the ball. Hopefully, we will see a more equitable solution to the regular season overtime. Maybe a couple more ties. We'll see about that. But if you're asking me what is the one change that is very likely to take place, it's going to be that one.
And JJ, just remind people when this meeting is going down, where these things will be voted on.
Yeah, so it'll be at the Breakers in West Palm Beach, Florida. That's going to be happening at the end of this month in just a couple of weeks. A 2.5 day league meeting. It's an annual meeting. They love collaborating down there. And so that is when we will see this rule change ultimately pass.
If you come on down, just let me know. I could use a cocktail at the Breakers, and we'll see what happens with.
Chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Và hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là quả bòm bom. Mọi người, hôm nay vòng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là quả dâu tây. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu làm nha.